Have you ever stopped and wondered what your life would look like if you lived every single day as if God was within you? Not as a distant idea, not as a story told long ago, but as a living presence inside your heart, your mind, your soul. Imagine walking into every room, facing every challenge, carrying every burden, with the unshakable awareness that infinite power, wisdom, and love are already flowing through you. How differently would you move? How much courage would rise inside you? How much fear would suddenly lose its grip? We spend so much of our lives searching outside ourselves for strength. We wait for permission, for the right moment, for the world to prove we are worthy. But the truth is this: the greatest source of power is already planted deep within you. You have been carrying it since the day you were born. And when you begin to act as if God himself is alive within you, everything begins to change. Your words carry more weight. Your decisions carry more clarity. Your energy carries more light. Think about the moments when you have felt small, unworthy, or forgotten. In those moments, you were not powerless. You were simply disconnected from the truth of who you are. Because the truth is, if God is within you, then greatness is within you. If God is within you, then resilience is within you. If God is within you, then no obstacle, no failure, no rejection can define the limits of your life. That power is not something you have to beg for. It is something you awaken to. And here's the beauty of it. When you act as if God is within you, you no longer wait for the world to tell you what is possible. You begin to live from a higher place, where every action is guided by faith, every challenge is met with strength, and every setback is seen as preparation. Suddenly, fear loses its authority, doubt loses its voice. You start to carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that they are never truly alone. Stay with me, because this journey is not about empty words. It is about a transformation that can touch every part of your life. Your relationships, your health, your dreams, your future. All of it can rise higher when you finally claim the truth that has always been inside you. This is not about pretending to be perfect. It's about allowing the presence of something greater to shine through your imperfections. It's about moving forward even when your knees shake, speaking truth even when your voice trembles, and loving deeply even when your heart has been broken. If you carry this belief, if you live with this awareness, then every step you take becomes sacred. Every moment becomes purposeful. Every choice becomes infused with meaning. And as you continue watching, you will discover not only why you were born, but how to live each day with a strength you never thought possible. Stay here, because by the end of this journey, you will no longer see yourself as weak, lost, or ordinary. You will see yourself as you truly are, powerful, unshakable, and unstoppable, because you are acting as if God is within you. When you begin to act as if God is within you, the way you see yourself changes first. You stop looking at your reflection and only noticing the flaws, the scars, the insecurities. Instead, you begin to recognize a vessel of strength, a carrier of light, a soul with divine purpose. You stop asking, am I enough? And start declaring, I was created with more than enough already inside me. This shift is not small. It is the foundation of every breakthrough you will ever experience. Because when your identity rises, your actions rise. And when your actions rise, your entire life follows. Think about the voice that whispers inside your head when you face a challenge. Too often that voice is filled with fear, with doubt, with hesitation. But what if that voice spoke with the calm authority of God within you? What if it reminded you not of your limitations, but of your limitless potential? Science has shown that the way we talk to ourselves rewires our brain. Words are not just sounds. They are signals. They shape emotions. They shape beliefs. They shape destiny. So imagine what happens when the words you speak to yourself are no longer rooted in weakness, but in the truth of divine power living inside you. Every time you say, I can't, you are handing away your strength. Every time you say, I'm not ready, you are shutting the door to opportunity. But when you stand up and declare, I can, because God is in me, you activate courage that was waiting all along. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move forward despite fear, because you trust that something greater is guiding you. This is why acting as if God is within you transforms hesitation into action, doubt into clarity, and fear into movement. You may feel like your challenges are too heavy, that your past is too broken, that your mistakes are too many. But remember this: light is most powerful in the darkest places. If God is within you, then even your broken pieces can shine. Even your failures can teach. Even your pain can become fuel. Nothing is wasted when you believe that a higher strength is working through you. The moment you see your struggles as preparation, you stop shrinking under them and start rising because of them. Carrying this awareness changes the way you face obstacles. Instead of asking, why me? You begin to ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of saying, I can't handle this, you begin to say, this is shaping me into someone stronger. You start to realize that every challenge is not proof of your weakness, but an invitation to discover how much power truly lives inside you. And with each obstacle you overcome, your faith in yourself grows, your confidence expands, and your vision of what is possible becomes clear. Stay connected to this truth. You are never powerless, even in your lowest moments. The same energy that breathes life into the stars, the same strength that holds the oceans in place is alive within you. Walk with that knowledge, speak with that knowledge, live with that knowledge, because when you do, you stop living as a shadow of yourself and step fully into the greatness you were born to embody. That is the power of acting as if God is within you. When you carry yourself as if God is within you, your presence begins to shift the atmosphere around you. People feel it before you even speak. They sense the confidence in your posture, the peace in your eyes, the strength in your tone. You no longer walk into a room shrinking, doubting, apologizing for your existence. You walk in with quiet certainty, not arrogance, but assurance, knowing that you are backed by something far greater than yourself. This energy is contagious. It inspires, it awakens, it challenges others to rise higher simply because they are near you. The world often tells you to wait until you feel ready, to wait until you are perfect, to wait until everything lines up before you take action. But when you act as if God is within you, you no longer wait. You move with faith, trusting that clarity will come as you walk. Every step you take becomes an act of courage. Every decision becomes a declaration that you believe in the strength you carry. And the more you move, the more your confidence grows. Momentum is not built by waiting. Momentum is built by stepping forward even when the path is uncertain, trusting that each step will be guided. This is how fear loses its grip. Fear thrives in silence and stillness, in hesitation. But when you rise and take action with the awareness of divine power within you, fear begins to dissolve. It cannot survive in the presence of movement backed by faith. And every time you confront it, you weaken its control. You prove to yourself that you are not defined by the doubts in your mind, but by the strength in your spirit. Think about what happens when you shift from asking, what if I fail, to declaring, what if I succeed? That single shift changes everything. It rewires your brain to focus on possibility instead of danger. Neuroscience shows us that our thoughts create pathways, and those pathways determine how we act. So when your thoughts align with the truth of power within you, your brain begins to create patterns of courage, resilience, and hope. You stop rehearsing failure and start rehearsing victory. And what you rehearse most often becomes the life you eventually live. Living this way also changes how you handle rejection and setbacks. You stop seeing them as signs that you are not good enough and instead see them as redirection. You understand that closed doors are not meant to break you but to guide you. You stop taking failure personally because your worth is not determined by outcomes. It is anchored in the unshakable truth that you are carrying something eternal inside you. This anchor keeps you steady when storms come, and they will come. But when the storm rages and you stand firm, you discover strength you never knew was there. Every dream you hold, every desire burning in your heart was not placed there by accident. Those dreams are not random. They are whispers of the divine, reminding you of the life you were created to live. And when you act as if God is within you, those whispers grow louder. They push you forward. They remind you that you were made for more than survival. You were made to create, to rise, to inspire, to transform. Do not ignore them. Do not bury them. Step into them with the faith that you are fully equipped to bring them to life. When you embrace the truth that God is within you, your vision of what is possible expands beyond limits. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit the size of your fears. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You stop lowering your standards just to avoid disappointment. Instead, you begin to dream boldly, to think higher, to believe that what was once impossible can actually be the next chapter of your life. This shift is not just mental, it is spiritual. It is the alignment of your inner power with your outer actions, and it unlocks potential that was waiting for you all along. Every goal you set, every plan you make becomes infused with a different energy. No longer do you pursue success out of desperation or the need to prove yourself. You pursue it out of purpose. You move not to gain validation, but to express the greatness that already lives inside you. That is why the journey becomes lighter, even when the work is heavy, because you are no longer carrying it alone. You know that your strength is supported by an infinite source, and that knowledge removes the weight of doubt from your shoulders. The truth is, most people stop before they ever discover their true strength. They quit when it gets uncomfortable. They give up when results don't come fast enough. But when you act as if God is within you, quitting is no longer an option. You understand that setbacks are not the end, but part of the preparation. You understand that every delay carries a lesson. Every struggle carries a gift. Every test carries an opportunity to rise higher. This perspective gives you resilience that ordinary motivation cannot provide. It anchors you in hope when circumstances try to convince you otherwise. Think of the difference in how you move when you know the outcome is already in your favor. You walk differently. You speak differently. You fight differently. That is the advantage of acting as if God is within you. You are no longer wrestling with the fear of failure because you understand that even failure can be turned into growth. Even pain can be turned into strength. Even loss can be turned into wisdom. Nothing is wasted. Everything is shaping you. And that truth gives you the courage to keep pressing forward when others stop. Your daily choices become sacred when you carry this awareness. The way you speak to yourself, the way you treat others, the way you pursue your goals, all of it becomes a reflection of the power living inside you. This does not mean you will never feel weak. It does not mean you will never doubt. It means that even in your weakest moments, you refuse to forget who walks with you. It means that even when doubt whispers, you choose to act from faith. And with each choice, you strengthen the bond between who you are and who you were created to be. You were not created to play small. You were not placed here just to survive another day. You were placed here to expand, to grow, to lift others, and to create a legacy that outlives you. The fire inside you is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to burn brightly, to guide others, to remind the world of what is possible when a person chooses to live as if God is within them. When you awaken to the reality that divine strength is alive within you, fear loses the ability to dictate your life. Fear thrives on convincing you that you are alone, fragile, and unprepared. But when you carry the awareness of God's presence inside you, fear becomes exposed as nothing more than an illusion. It may whisper, but it no longer commands. It may appear, but it no longer controls. You begin to understand that courage is not something you wait to feel. It is something you choose to embody, knowing that your power is greater than your fear. Every dream you have ever buried was buried not because it was impossible, but because fear convinced you to let it die. Every opportunity you have walked away from was not lost because you lacked ability, but because fear whispered that you were not ready. Yet when you rise in the awareness of the power within you, you stop allowing fear to silence your voice. You stop allowing fear to dictate your choices. You stop allowing fear to rob you of your destiny. You step forward, even trembling, because you know the strength that carries you is far greater than the weakness that tries to hold you back. Psychology shows us that human beings act in alignment with the identity they believe they have. If you see yourself as small, you will act small. If you see yourself as broken, you will live broken. But when you see yourself as a vessel of divine power, your behavior shifts. You naturally begin to take bigger risks, pursue greater opportunities, and stand taller in the face of opposition. This is not forced confidence. This is authentic confidence born from truth. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes your natural way of living. This transformation also changes the way you deal with pressure. Life will test you. People will criticize you. Circumstances will push you to your limits. But when you live as if God is within you, pressure no longer breaks you, it builds you. Pressure no longer crushes you, it refines you. Diamonds are created under pressure, and so are the strongest versions of yourself. You stop running from the weight and start embracing it, because you know it is shaping you into someone unshakable. And here is the deeper truth. When you live this way, you become an example for others. Your courage reminds them of their own. Your light awakens theirs. Your faith creates space for them to believe again. The strength you carry is not only for you, it is for everyone you will touch, every life you will inspire, every heart you will help heal by simply being a living reminder of what is possible. This is why you cannot shrink. This is why you cannot quit. Too much depends on you stepping fully into who you were created to be. Your life is not an accident. Your struggles are not random. Your dreams are not meaningless. All of it is connected to a greater story, one that only you can live out. And when you act as if God is within you, you become unstoppable because you finally understand that your strength does not come from circumstance, but from the infinite power already alive inside your soul. The moment you choose to live as if God is within you, your standards rise. You no longer tolerate mediocrity in your actions, your thoughts, or your relationships. You stop settling for less than what you know you are capable of, because deep inside you recognize that greatness does not coexist with complacency. You begin to demand more from yourself, not out of pressure or guilt, but out of reverence for the power that flows through you. You understand that every day is a sacred opportunity to honor that presence by living fully, boldly, and unapologetically. This shift awakens a new discipline within you. Discipline is no longer about punishment or rigid rules. It becomes an act of devotion. Each time you choose to rise early, to focus, to push forward, you are not just building habits, you are training your mind and body to align with the greatness within. Psychology proves that consistency rewires your brain, creating patterns that become automatic over time. And when those patterns are rooted in strength, resilience, and faith, you build a life that reflects power instead of weakness, vision instead of distraction. When you live this way, you stop chasing validation from others. You no longer need the applause of the crowd to confirm your worth. You no longer bend your values just to be accepted. You realize that if God is within you, you are already enough, already chosen, already validated. This realization frees you from the endless cycle of comparison and competition. Instead of measuring yourself against others, you measure yourself against your own potential, asking not, am I better than them? But am I becoming all that I was created to be? Living with this awareness also changes the way you handle temptation and distraction. The world will constantly pull at you with noise, with instant gratification, with shortcuts that promise quick rewards but steal long-term growth. But when you act as if God is within you, your vision becomes sharper. You begin to say no, not because you are deprived, but because you are focused. You begin to resist what weakens you because you know your mission requires strength. This is the kind of inner clarity that only comes when you live from a higher place, where purpose is louder than temptation. And as you grow in this awareness, your confidence becomes unshakable. Confidence rooted in ego can be broken with criticism. Confidence rooted in appearance can be destroyed by change. Confidence rooted in achievement can collapse with failure. But confidence rooted in the eternal presence within you cannot be touched. It does not depend on circumstance, and it does not fade with time. It is steady, it is strong, and it carries you forward no matter what storms come your way. Remember this, every single day is a chance to choose. You can choose fear, or you can choose faith. You can choose or you can choose belief. You can choose to live small, or you can choose to rise into your divine potential. The choice will always be yours, and the world you experience will reflect that choice. Live as if God is within you, and you will discover that nothing is too great to overcome, nothing is too far to reach, and nothing is impossible for the one who knows where their true power comes from. When you live as if God is within you, you begin to understand that your words carry power far greater than you realize. Every word you speak is a seed, and those seeds shape the reality you step into. Words spoken in fear create limits. Words spoken in doubt create hesitation. But words spoken in faith create possibilities. When you open your mouth and speak with the authority of the power inside you, you are not just describing your life. You are directing it. You are declaring who you are and what you will become, and your spirit aligns with that declaration. This is why you must guard your tongue, because every careless word builds or breaks, lifts or limits. The energy of creation is inside you, and each time you choose to speak life instead of defeat, you strengthen your path forward. Psychology confirms what faith has always known. Affirmations and self-talk are not just empty phrases. They reprogram your subconscious mind. And when your subconscious is trained to believe in your strength, your actions naturally rise to match it. You stop sabotaging yourself. You stop talking yourself out of your own destiny. You begin to align your language with the greatness that already exists inside you. Living this way also shifts the way you influence others. Your words become fuel for those around you. When people feel lost, your voice reminds them of direction. When people feel weak, your voice reminds them of strength. When people feel hopeless, your voice reminds them that hope is still alive. This influence is not about power over others, but power through you, a ripple effect of living from your higher truth. By speaking as if God is within you, you create environments of faith, courage, and inspiration everywhere you go. But it is not only about speaking, it is about embodying. Words without action are empty. When you declare strength but live in fear, your spirit knows the difference. Integrity between what you say and how you live is where true transformation happens. And when your actions mirror your words, you create unstoppable momentum. You begin to trust yourself because you no longer betray your own declarations. That trust is the foundation of confidence, and confidence is the foundation of courage. Fear will always try to silence you. Doubt will always try to keep you quiet. But when you speak boldly, when you declare life, when you live in alignment with that truth, you cut through the noise of fear and rise above it. This is why you cannot afford to be silent about your vision, your purpose, your identity. Speak it until you believe it. Live it until you embody it. Let every choice, every step, every word echo the truth that God is alive within you. The reality of your life will always reflect the reality of your beliefs. If you believe you are weak, your life will bend to that weakness. If you believe you are powerful, your life will rise to match that power. And when you believe that the infinite presence of God dwells within you, there is no limit to what you can create, no barrier too strong to hold you back, no challenge too great to stop you. You become a living expression of divine strength, a walking reminder of what happens when a person refuses to live small. To live as if God is within you is to carry an unshakable sense of purpose, even when life feels uncertain. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by chance. It is something you awaken to by remembering who you are. You are not here by accident. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are here with a mission, one that only you can fulfill in the way you were designed to. That mission is not always loud or obvious, but it speaks through the desires that burn in your heart, the talents you carry, the compassion you feel, the vision you cannot shake no matter how much you try to ignore it. When you align yourself with that purpose, your life gains clarity. You no longer waste energy chasing things that don't feed your soul. You no longer feel the emptiness of living for approval or the exhaustion of wearing masks to be accepted. You realize that fulfillment does not come from pleasing the world, but from honoring the calling within you. And when you honor it, energy floods back into your life. Motivation stops being something you chase and becomes something that flows naturally because you are finally aligned with the truth of your existence. This alignment also brings resilience. Purpose gives you a reason to keep going when the road is rough. It gives you strength to endure when others quit. It gives you clarity to push forward even when results are delayed. Psychology teaches that people who live with a sense of purpose experience greater resilience, better health, and deeper satisfaction in life. Why? Because purpose creates meaning, and meaning gives you the strength to carry weight that would otherwise break you. When you live as if God is within you, that purpose is amplified because you understand that your mission is not just personal, it is spiritual. You begin to see your life as a channel, not just a container. What flows through you is meant to reach others. Your kindness is meant to heal. Your strength is meant to inspire. Your courage is meant to awaken something dormant in those around you. And this understanding transforms the way you view your struggles. You stop asking why you face them and start realizing that your battles equip you to help others fight theirs. Your scars become lessons. Your setbacks become wisdom. Your survival becomes a testimony that lights the path for someone else. Living with purpose does not mean the journey will be easy, but it does mean the journey will be worth it. The obstacles will not disappear, but they will no longer feel meaningless. Each step will carry weight. Each day will hold value. Each choice will become a sacred act of building the life you were designed to live. And as you continue to move forward with this awareness, you will notice something extraordinary. Fear shrinks, doubt quiets, distractions lose power, because none of them can compete with a soul that knows exactly why it is here. The moment you decide to live fully in your purpose, everything changes. You stop existing and start living. You stop wandering and start building. You stop shrinking and start expanding. That is the transformation that happens when you act as if God is within you. You discover that your life is not just about survival, but about impact, legacy, and the awakening of the greatness that was within you all along. When you awaken to purpose and live as if God is within you, your perspective on time changes. You stop wasting days waiting for the perfect moment because you realize the perfect moment is the one you are in right now. You stop postponing your growth, your dreams, your healing because you understand that tomorrow is never promised, but today is already filled with possibility. Time becomes sacred and you treat each moment as an opportunity to rise higher, to give more, to create something meaningful that will outlast you. This urgency does not create panic, it creates power. It ignites a sense of focus that pulls you away from distractions and excuses. You no longer drift aimlessly through life, waiting for change to happen. You become the change. Every day becomes an act of intention. Every morning becomes a declaration that you are here for a reason, and you refuse to waste the gift of another sunrise living small. This level of focus transforms ordinary days into extraordinary building blocks of destiny. Psychology teaches us that our brains respond to urgency. When we attach importance to our actions, we become more committed, more disciplined, more consistent. And when urgency is rooted not in fear, but in purpose, it does not burn us out. It fuels us. You begin to feel alive because you are no longer numbing yourself with delay. You are fully present, fully engaged, fully alive in the life you are meant to live. That awareness changes everything because it lifts you out of procrastination and pushes you into momentum. Living this way also transforms the way you handle opportunities. Instead of hesitating, instead of doubting, instead of waiting for signs that you are ready, you step forward. You understand that readiness is not something you wait for. It is something you create by moving. And every time you step into an opportunity, you prove to yourself that you are more capable than your doubt suggested. Momentum grows with action, and the more you act, the more aligned you become with the truth of who you are. This awareness also shifts how you treat your relationships. You no longer waste time on connections that drain you or environments that diminish you. You realize that every person you allow close to you is either fueling your purpose or distracting you from it. And when you act as if God is within you, you choose wisely. You choose people who remind you of your strength, who challenge you to grow, who walk with you in faith and not in fear. This alignment creates environments of elevation where everyone rises together. Every breath you take is proof that your mission is not finished. Every beat of your heart is evidence that you are still here for a reason. To live as if God is within you is to honor that gift by refusing to waste it. It is to live with the fire of someone who knows their days are numbered, but their impact can be eternal. And when you live with that kind of urgency, you stop settling for survival and start reaching for significance. You stop waiting for life to happen and begin creating the life you were born to live. That is the power of walking through time with divine awareness burning inside you. When you choose to live as if God is within you, even your struggles take on new meaning. The weight you carry no longer feels like punishment, it becomes preparation. The pain you endure no longer feels like a dead end, it becomes a doorway to deeper strength. Every challenge transforms from something designed to break you into something designed to build you. You stop asking why life is hard and start realizing that growth only happens through resistance. Just as muscles strengthen under pressure, your spirit strengthens when tested. And when you face those tests with the awareness of divine power inside you, you emerge not weaker, but unshakable. Resilience is born in the moments you refuse to quit. Psychology shows us that the human brain grows stronger each time we persevere. Neural pathways of endurance and strength are reinforced, making future obstacles easier to face. What feels unbearable today becomes the reason you rise stronger tomorrow. This is why you cannot run from the fire. You must walk through it with courage, because every step through adversity activates the strength that has been waiting within you. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as a warrior of purpose. And this resilience doesn't just stay within you, it overflows into every part of your life. When people watch you endure and rise, they see proof that strength is possible for them too. Your perseverance becomes inspiration. Your refusal to give up becomes a lifeline for someone who is ready to surrender. This is the ripple effect of living as if God is within you. You turn personal victories into collective hope. You become a mirror that reflects resilience, reminding the world that no storm is stronger than the spirit of a person who knows they are not alone. But resilience is not only about surviving pain, it is about transforming it. Every scar can become a story of triumph. Every wound can become wisdom. Every failure can become fuel. When you allow divine strength to work through your challenges, you stop carrying pain as a burden and start carrying it as a lesson. You stop hiding your brokenness and start using it as proof that you are still standing. Nothing you have been through is wasted if you choose to rise from it. This shift also changes how you respond to uncertainty. Most people fear the unknown because it feels uncontrollable. But when you live as if God is within you, uncertainty no longer feels like danger. It feels like opportunity. You realize that faith is not about seeing the whole path. It is about trusting that each step will be guided. You understand that the unknown is where miracles are born, where possibilities unfold, where destiny expands beyond what you could have planned. Fear of the unknown dissolves when you trust the power already alive inside you. Every trial, every setback, every season of pain becomes a tool for transformation when you choose to see it through the lens of divine strength. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not being broken. You are being built. You are not being buried. You are being planted. And when you rise from the soil of struggle, you rise taller, stronger, brighter, a living reminder that nothing is impossible for the one who walks with unshakable awareness of the greatness within. When you carry the truth that God is within you, your perspective on identity transforms completely. You stop defining yourself by your past mistakes, by your failures, by the opinions of others. You stop attaching your worth to titles, possessions, or achievements that can be taken away in an instant. Instead, you root your identity in something eternal, unshakable, and limitless. You begin to see yourself not as broken, but as whole, not as weak, but as powerful, not as ordinary, but as extraordinary. Because the presence of the divine redefines who you are at your core. This shift is powerful because identity shapes everything. Psychology teaches that the strongest force in human behavior is the desire to remain consistent with who we believe we are. If you believe you are fragile, you will act fragile. If you believe you are powerless, you will surrender to obstacles without a fight. But if you believe that God is alive within you, your actions naturally rise to reflect that truth. You stop making decisions out of fear and start making them out of faith. You stop playing small and start stepping into spaces you once thought were too big for you. Your life bends to the truth you carry about yourself. When your identity shifts, your boundaries shift too. You no longer tolerate environments that strip you of your light. You no longer allow voices that feed your doubts to have authority over your spirit. You no longer waste energy trying to fit into places where you were never meant to belong. You honor yourself differently because you understand that the presence within you is sacred. And when you treat yourself as sacred, your choices elevate, your standards rise, and your life begins to align with your highest calling. This is also when comparison begins to lose its grip. You stop measuring your life against the highlight reels of others because you recognize that no one else can carry the mission placed inside you. Comparison fades when you embrace your uniqueness, when you understand that your gifts, your path, your timing are designed with intention. Instead of asking, why am I not like them? You begin to ask, how can I fully become who I was created to be? That question unlocks freedom. That question ignites creativity. That question pulls you into alignment with the destiny that belongs only to you. Living from this place of identity gives you stability no matter what happens around you. Circumstances may change, people may walk away, plans may fall apart, but your foundation does not shake because it is no longer built on fragile things. It is built on eternal truth. And when you stand on that truth, storms cannot destroy you, losses cannot define you, and setbacks cannot erase who you are. You remain steady because your identity is anchored in something greater than anything the world can take away. This is why acting as if God is within you is not just about confidence, it is about transformation. It is about remembering that you are not here by mistake, not limited by labels, not confined by fear. You are here as a living expression of divine power, created to rise, created to shine, created to expand beyond what you once thought possible. And when you embody that truth, you step into life fully awake, fully alive, and fully aligned with the greatness that was always within you. When you recognize that your identity is rooted in divine presence, your relationship with fear begins to change. Fear will always attempt to whisper that you are not enough, that the obstacles ahead are too great, that your voice does not matter. But when you carry the awareness that God is within you, fear no longer holds the final word. Fear becomes smaller in the light of faith. It loses its authority because the power inside you is greater than anything outside you. You stop treating fear as a wall that blocks you and start treating it as a doorway that you are strong enough to walk through. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act even while fear is present. Psychology reveals that our minds exaggerate threats, making them appear larger than they really are. Most of the fears that paralyze us never even come true, but they rob us of opportunities, growth, and purpose. When you live as if the divine resides in you, courage is no longer optional. It becomes natural. You no longer wait to feel ready because readiness is not what drives you. Conviction is. You move forward not because every doubt has disappeared, but because your faith has grown louder than your fear. This shift ignites resilience. Every challenge becomes a chance to prove to yourself that you are not defined by setbacks. Every difficulty becomes a stage where the strength within you can be revealed. Instead of shrinking back, you rise taller. Instead of being crushed by weight, you discover new muscles of perseverance. With each test, you build spiritual endurance. And just as a muscle strengthens under resistance, your character expands through trials. You learn that fear is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is the signpost that points toward the very places where your greatest growth awaits. When fear is no longer the ruler of your choices, your vision expands. You stop settling for safe and start reaching for extraordinary. You stop staying in the shadows and start stepping into the spotlight that was meant for you. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means you stop running from the difficulty and instead walk into it with authority. The moment you do, you realize the mountain that once looked immovable begins to move. What once felt impossible suddenly becomes achievable because you no longer approach life with only your strength. You approach it with divine strength flowing through you. This is why the most powerful lives are not lived by those without fear, but by those who decide that fear will not own them. The fire inside burns brighter than the voices of doubt around them. They understand that fear will knock, but faith will always open the door. And when you live from this place, fear may still visit, but it never stays. It may try to chain you, but those chains cannot hold what has already been set free. You are not here to live small, bound by the limits of your fears. You are here to embody courage that inspires others, to move with conviction that breaks barriers, to rise as proof that faith can transform any life. And every time you choose courage over fear, you step further into the truth that you were never ordinary. You were created to be unstoppable. The moment you begin to live with courage, something even deeper awakens inside you. Purpose. Life is no longer a series of random events that you're just trying to survive. Every experience, every obstacle, every moment becomes connected to a larger calling. When you act as if God's within you, you stop wandering and start aligning. You no longer chase approval or meaningless distractions because your energy is drawn toward what truly matters. You begin to sense that your life is not an accident, but a mission. And once you discover that mission, everything about the way you live transforms. Purpose is what gives meaning to your pain. It is what turns suffering into fuel. Without purpose, struggles feel like punishment. With purpose, struggles feel like preparation. You recognize that the battles you face are not designed to break you, but to shape you into someone capable of carrying the weight of your destiny. Every setback becomes training. Every delay becomes development. Every wound becomes wisdom. Purpose allows you to reframe your life, to look at even the hardest chapters and declare, this too is part of the plan that is leading me forward. Psychology shows that people who live with purpose are more resilient, more motivated, and more fulfilled. They experience higher levels of well-being, not because their lives are easier, but because they have a reason to keep going when others give up. Purpose is the compass that keeps you moving even when the road feels dark. is the voice inside that reminds you, keep going. Your story isn't finished yet. And when you root that purpose in the divine, you carry an unshakable belief that your life is meant for impact far greater than yourself. Living with purpose also sharpens your focus. Distractions lose their power when your vision is clear. You stop wasting time on things that drain you because you understand that your energy is sacred. You choose differently. You prioritize differently. You build habits that align with your calling rather than sabotage it. And with each aligned choice, you step closer to becoming the person you were always meant to be. This is not about chasing a grand achievement to prove your worth. It is about embodying the truth that your worth already exists. And from that place of wholeness, you give your best to the world. Your purpose does not need to be loud or glamorous. It simply needs to be authentic. It could be to heal, to teach, to lead, to inspire, to create, or to love with such intensity that others remember what is possible. Whatever your purpose is, it is divine in origin, and the world is waiting for you to live it fully. When you live on purpose, you ignite something in others. Your courage becomes contagious. Your consistency becomes a lighthouse for those who feel lost. Your resilience becomes proof that faith can carry a person through anything. And that is the deeper power of purpose. It does not just transform your life, it ripples outward, awakening the lives of countless others. This is the kind of legacy you were born to leave. This is why you were created. This is what it means to act as if God is within you. To live each day knowing that your life carries weight, your voice carries power, and your purpose carries eternity. When you live with purpose flowing through you, discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a natural expression of who you are. You no longer force yourself into action through guilt or pressure because your actions are fueled by alignment. Every step you take is connected to the mission inside you, and that makes even the hardest work meaningful. Discipline stops being about restriction and starts being about liberation. The liberation that comes from no longer being enslaved to laziness, distraction, or self-sabotage. When you act as if God is within you, you treat your time, your energy, and your habits as sacred vessels through which your purpose manifests. Psychology confirms that habits are destiny in motion. What you do repeatedly shapes who you become. But most people fail at discipline because they try to rely only on willpower, and willpower always runs out. When you root discipline in identity, it becomes effortless. If you see yourself as someone who is guided by divine strength, you don't just try to exercise self-control. You embody it. You don't just attempt to show up with consistency. You live as if consistency is part of your nature. The choices you make are no longer about forcing behavior, but about reflecting who you are. And this shift turns discipline from a constant struggle into a natural rhythm. Discipline is also how dreams move from imagination into reality. Vision without action is fantasy, but vision with discipline becomes transformation. When you honor your purpose with disciplined action, the gap between where you are and where you are meant to be begins to close. Small daily steps accumulate into extraordinary breakthroughs. Ordinary days build extraordinary lives. And you begin to experience the joy of knowing that you are not just waiting for destiny. You are creating it with your own hands, guided by the strength within you. The presence of discipline also shields you from regret. So many people reach the end of opportunities wishing they had done more, given more, lived more. Regret is heavy, and it is always born from the choices we didn't make, the chances we didn't take, the habits we refused to build. But when you live as if God is within you, you no longer carry that weight because you know you are giving your best every day. You no longer fear missed chances because you are walking in alignment with your calling. You no longer waste seasons because you are honoring each moment as preparation for what is to come. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. You will stumble, you will fall, but when your motivation flows from divine presence, you rise again with greater strength. Every failure becomes feedback. Every delay becomes a lesson.